Hi guys, so today I'm going to show you how to write a linear equation from a table. If it's linear, then the exponent is 1. It's only to the power of 1. So some examples might look like this. Y equals 2x plus 4. Y equals negative 3x plus 1. So those are some examples. They're both to the power of 1. So we are going to look at the table and look at the x values. These should increase at a constant rate, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, which they do. So now I need to look at our y values. These should also increase at a constant rate, and this is what's going to help us write our equation. So from 3 to 8, that's plus 5. 8 to 13, plus 5. Plus 5 and plus 5. The number we added, 5, actually becomes our multiplier. So all of our equations will start with y equals. Since we added 5, it's going to be 5 times x. If we subtracted 5, it would have been negative 5 times x. So that's our first step. Our y values tell us what our multiplier is. Now our next step is to take each x value, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, plug them in for x to help us determine the next part of our equation. Either there's a plus something at the end or a minus something at the end. So if I plugged in 0 into x, I'd have y equals 5 times 0, which is 0. But I'm trying to get to the number 3. So what would I have to add to 0 to get to 3? Well, I'd have to add 3. So plus 3. If I tried this with all of my other x values, it should work. So let's say I plug in 1 for x. Y equals 5 times 1 plus 3, because we think it's plus 3. Well, y equals 5 plus 3. Y equals 8. And our y value is 8. And if I checked all of these, it would work. So I'm going to go all the way down to 4 and plug it in and show you that it still works. So y equals 5 times 4 plus 3. Y equals 20 plus 3. Y equals 23. Yep. So this is my final equation right here. All right, we're going to keep practicing. Here's another one. Sometimes I add, sometimes I subtract. So to get from 1 to negative 2, I subtract 3. From negative 2 to negative 5, subtract 3. Now my next step should be to subtract 3, but that would get me to negative 8. So when I look at my x values, I notice something. They increase by 1, so 1, 2, 3, but it's missing the fourth x value. So if there was a 4 here, and I kept subtracting 3, I would get negative 8 for my y value. So even though it didn't look like it was linear, because it didn't look like it was decreasing at a constant rate, once we added the 4 in for x, it shows that it is linear. So I keep subtracting by 3. Again, this number that I add or subtract becomes my multiplier. I start every equation with y equals. Since I'm subtracting 3, it's negative 3x. Now I look at my x values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to plug them in for x and see what I have to add or subtract to get to my y value. So for example, y equals negative 3 times 1, which is negative 3. Now what would I have to add to negative 3 to get all the way to positive 1? Well, I'd have to add 4. So it must be plus 4. And I'm going to keep checking this with my other x values. So let's plug in 2. Y equals negative 3 times 2 plus 4. Now I'm trying to get to the y value of negative 2. So y equals negative 6 plus 4. Y equals negative 2. Okay, so that worked. I'm going to plug in 5. y equals negative 3 times 5 plus 4. Y equals negative 15 plus 4. Y equals negative 11. Negative 5 and negative 11. Yep, so it works. This is my equation. All right, we are going to do one more together. Okay, so let's see. From negative 6 to negative 4, I add 2. Add 2. Add 2. Add 2. Again, what I'm adding becomes my multiplier. Always start with y equals. Since it's positive 2, it's 2x. Now I need to see, after I plug in my x, what I need to add or subtract to get my y. So I'll start with 0. Y equals 2 times 0, which is 0. How do I get from 0 to negative 6? Well, I would subtract 6. So let's see if that works with my other values. I'm going to plug in 1. Y equals 2 times 1, and I think it's minus 6, so let's see if this works. Y equals 2 minus 6. I'm trying to get to negative 4. Y equals negative 4. Okay, so that worked. I plugged in 1, and I got negative 4. Let's try it with 3. So y equals 2 times 3 minus 6. Now I'm trying to get to 0. Y equals 6 minus 6. Y equals 0. So I plugged in 3, I got 0. So this is my equation.